Why am I always so broke? No matter how much I earn, I am always broke. When I was a student and I was tending tables for a living, I was broke. When I graduated and got my first job, I was broke. And now I just got a raise, I have a six-figure salary, and I am still broke. No matter how much I earn, I am always broke. Sounds familiar to you? Maybe you're even earning a six-figure salary, but no matter how much you earn, you're always broke? Well, let me tell you, you're not alone. Actually, the majority of people are broke, and there are 7 reasons for that. And in this episode of Money Talk, we are going to find out what are the 7 reasons why you are broke and also discover the 7 solutions to that. Let's dive in. Before getting started, please hit the subscribe button down there and activate the notification bell to never miss a new video. Babylon was a very wealthy city in antiquity, around 2000 years before Christ. The city was very evolved for its time. It had a complex sewage system, and most importantly, it had a water canal that brought water to that city that was in the middle of the desert. All of that was very innovative back then, at the time where the majority of the human population was still living in caves and fighting other tribes for little pieces of meat. But despite all that wealth, one day the king Sargon was very concerned. The king was very concerned by the fact that the majority of the population of Babylon was broke. They were not poor, but they were broke. They had to work their entire lives just to barely survive. He said, "We are going to teach to the entire population how to be wealthy, and we are going to ask the richest man in Babylon to be their teacher." And the name of the richest man in Babylon was Arkad, and he was required by the king to teach to the Babylonians how to become wealthy. Arkad first had to explain to all those broke Babylonians why they were broke, and Arkad gave 7 reasons why Babylonians were broke. And those are also the 7 reasons why you are broke. The first reason why you're broke is that you do not keep anything. You receive your salary, your fees, or whatever your income may be, and you spend it all. You arrive at the end of the month and everything is gone. Or even worse, you spent more than what you've earned. And I know, you really want to save money. You really do. But at the end of the month, there is nothing left. It's like your money completely vanished. Poof! Disappeared in hundreds or thousands of small expenses. Well, that happens because you pay yourself last. Yes, you heard me right, you pay yourself last. The first thing you do when you receive the paycheck is that you pay the mortgage, the car leasing, the Netflix subscription, the insurances, etc. You see, you pay everybody else first, and you pay yourself last. You pay yourself last with what is left at the end of the month, which very often is close to zero. And that happens to absolutely everybody, to the guy earning minimum wage, to the lawyer earning $500,000 a year. Why? Because when your income goes up, so do your expenses. And sometimes it's even worse, because your expenses grow much more faster than your income. Imagine this. Imagine that suddenly your salary is the double. Right now, what would you do? Be honest. Yes, I knew. You would go for the nicer car, the nicer vacation, the nicer house, and so on. So that is always the same. When your income goes up, so do your expenses. And why does that happen? Well, the main reason is that people want to keep up with the Jonases. But we'll talk about this a little bit later. Now, let me offer you a solution. As I said before, if you keep nothing at the end of the month, it's because you pay yourself last. And the solution is very simple. You pay yourself first. Every month, when you receive the paycheck, the first thing you do is that you take 10% aside. It can be more, 15, 20, 30%, but at least 10%. And you do that before paying anything else, before paying the taxes, before paying your mortgage, or whatever. You take that 10% aside and it becomes Fort Knox. Nobody can touch it. I want you to imagine that all that money that you put aside are like your employees that will work for you. And the more employees you have, the better it is, because the more they can work for you. But Daniel, I don't earn enough to put 10% aside. Are you suggesting me to not pay my bills? No, I am not saying to be responsible. Pay your taxes and pay your bills. What I am saying is that you take 10% first, and then with the 90% that remains, you find ways to cover up your expenses with that. This healthy pressure requires you to find solutions. Which brings me to number 2. The second reason why you're broke is that you have no budget. You do not know in advance how your money will be spent. And you do quick mental calculations, and when you see that nice pair of shoes, you do a quick math in your head and you say, yes, I can afford it. The problem is, this kind of mental calculation is very imprecise. And there is an old saying that says that when you don't have a budget, at the end of the month, you will always wonder, where did my money go? The thing is that your money is being spent left and right without control. Those are small amounts, but still, when you add up the small amounts, those are big amounts. You spend a little bit on Monday, a little bit on Wednesday, a little bit on Saturday, and when you do the calculation at the end of the month, it's a lot of money. And that, with the fact that you pay yourself last, are the reasons why you don't have any savings, the reasons why you don't have any employee to work for you. Now, I know how this advice is going to go down, because people do not like budgets, the same way that people do not like discipline, or that kids do not like broccoli. But actually, just like discipline, budget is freedom. It is not a loss of freedom. It gives you peace of mind, knowing that you're not burying yourself into debt and that you're in control of your financial future. And please, do not take this advice to an extreme. Life is meant to be enjoyed. So enjoy your life, but with a budget. Because I know some people who are very, very strict with their budget. They live for money. They try to save every cent on everything. They never go to the movie, they never travel, they never buy nice clothes, they never ever go to restaurants. This is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is to make a budget to track your expenses and plan them in advance so they don't go out of control. You don't have to be a slave to this budget, because otherwise you become a slave to money, a slave to your savings, and that is not good. And when you have a budget, it makes you realize a couple of things. It makes you look at certain toys that you bought and you have to work so hard for them. And you're thinking about this BMW, for example, that is taking up 35% or 40% of your salary. And you think, is that really necessary? Or you look at those fancy last-minute vacations that you booked and that are worth 2, 3, or even 4 months of salary. And again, you ask yourself, is that really necessary? And you realize that a Toyota Corolla makes the same job as an expensive BMW. And you realize that taking your trip tickets in advance in a less fancy place does the job also. Most of the time, people buy those expensive toys, the expensive car, the expensive vacation, and so on, to keep up with the Jonases. Because your neighbor or your colleague just bought a new car, you say, hey, I have to buy a new car. I will do even better. I will buy an even nicer car than him. And somebody goes to the Maldives for 3 weeks, hey, I will do the same because I don't want to look bad. You see, the fact of keeping up with the Jonases is an effort to not look bad, to not look poor, or to not look less successful than other people. You're afraid of their judgment if you don't keep up with them. What I am saying with all of this is the following. If you want to go for the expensive car, the expensive yacht, the expensive watch, the fancy vacations, or whatever, and that your budget allows it, that you can actually afford it, and that you already took away 10% of your budget to save it, I am the first one to tell you, go for it. Enjoy life. But ask yourself this question. Am I buying this item because I really want it? Because I really love to have that item? Or am I buying this just to keep up with somebody else? Something to think about. The third reason why you're broke is that you do not multiply your money. You just save money, which is already very good, but you leave it at the bank and you're just sitting there, idle. If you want to never be broke again, you will need to multiply this money by indulging in a very interesting science, the science of making money with money. That is, the science and the art of investing. To take back the example I gave earlier, all that money that you saved are now your employees. And now it is time to make them work for you. Because if you leave the money at the bank, it's like you leave your employees idle without anything to do. Because you see, having money at the bank is very good, but it's not enough. And what I'm going to say is extremely harsh, but it's true. Savers are losers. Savers are losers, especially nowadays, with laughably low interest rates. And there is another problem. You see this? This is only a piece of paper. It is nothing. Because when our government goes into trouble, when there is a lot of debt, what they do is that they start printing this like crazy. And your savings at the bank that you worked so hard for, well, they become less and less valuable. That is inflation. To give you an idea, it is estimated that the US dollar, has lost 90% of its value since 1971. Imagine all the people who spent their entire lives working very hard to save money, and then boom, 90% of their savings is gone. So now you understand that you should never leave your money at the bank long term. It is a very bad idea. Hence the necessity of investing. That is, making your employees work for you. There are two main strategies when it comes to investment. The first one is to buy assets that will give you consistent passive income. That is cash flow. And the second strategy is to buy assets that will appreciate in the future. And then in the future, you will sell those assets to have a capital gain. The assets that give you cash flow are typically real estate or businesses that you build, and the assets that appreciate in time are typically stocks or some commodities. Now that you are ready to invest, there is something else you should be careful about. Let's see that. The fourth reason why you are broke is that when you decide to invest, you try to take shortcomings. You try to get rich quick. You go for those investments where they promise you to double, triple, or multiply by 10 your money in 1 or 2 weeks. Well, let me tell you something. If something is too beautiful to be true, it's because it is not true. And those investment schemes, they never ever work for many reasons. You need to be conservative when you are investing. And nope, I am not talking about politics. I myself fell into that trap years ago. You see, I had put aside some money, I stuck to a budget, and I decided to invest. You see, I was successful at the 3 first principles I presented earlier. But when I decided to invest, I lost everything. I failed at being conservative. I had saved around $2,000 and when I was 18 or 19, that was a lot of money. And I was absolutely convinced I was going to make a lot of money by day trading currencies in the forex market with a lot of leverage. I had also followed a course on day trading and I was sure I was going to multiply that money and turn it into 10,000, 20,000 or 50,000 bucks in 2 or 3 weeks. And guess what happened? It worked for 1 week and a half. And one day, in only one single day, I was completely wiped out because of one single bad investment. I lost everything. All those savings I had worked so hard for, gone. Disappeared.
And it's gone. Poof.
I learned a valuable lesson the very hard way. When you try to get rich quickly with that kind of schemes, you will lose. That is a guarantee. And I don't say that because of my story. You can see the statistics on the internet. 99% of the people, they lose money when they try to do that kind of things. That story goes to show you to be conservative when you're investing. Don't go for that hot spot stock or that very hot currency. Forget about them. You're going to lose your shirt if you try to go for them. Go for stocks that are priced conservatively. Go for commodities that are priced conservatively. If you go for assets that are selling at a bargain price, you will succeed. Or invest in real estate. If you do things correctly in real estate, you will earn around 9 to 14% a year. And if you put thousands of dollars every single year consistently into that kind of investments, in less than a decade, you will become a millionaire. That is for sure. And all those videos in this channel and the future videos should help you to make sound investments. So remember, be conservative when you invest. Or to take back the example of the employees working for you, when you try to get rich quick, it's like asking your employees to work 24/7. It will always backfire. The fifth reason why you are broke is that you do not own your own house. Wait, what? Wait a minute. In the book, The Richest Man of Babylon and many other investment books, they tell you to buy your own house because it is a good investment and that you'll make money with that. But actually, buying your own house can be a very lousy investment that can make you broke. There are millions of people who went broke because they bought a house. But that topic, we have a dedicated video very soon. Stay tuned. The sixth reason why you are broke is that you do not plan your big expenses in advance. Here, I'm typically talking about your kids going to college or your retirement. Most people do not prepare for those big expenses, and when they arrive, they go broke. You can plan those big expenses in advance. When your kid is still an infant, you can already open a separate account where you put X% of your money per month and you invest this money very conservatively and very intelligently. It's even easier for your retirement because you have much more time to prepare for it, assuming that you're pretty young. But still, if you plan ahead those big events, you will spare yourself a lot of trouble. The seventh reason why you're broke is that you do not learn. Yes, you heard me right. You do not learn and it makes you broke. And it's interesting to see that this happens very often with people who have fancy titles or went to fancy colleges. They will tell you, I have a master's degree, I have a PhD, I already know everything, I don't need to learn anything new. And unsurprisingly, their arrogance makes them broke. All those people are condemned to be broke because what you learn in school is very good, but it's not enough. And don't get me wrong, I love education, I am pro-education, go to school, but it is not enough. When you leave school, you're actually completely unprepared for the real world because the real world values other skills. They value high-income, practical skills. And apart from school, you should learn those high-income skills. Those high-income skills are investing skills, financial literacy, closing skills, selling skills, public speaking skills, communication skills, networking skills, and so on. But Daniel, I have a PhD in aerospace engineering. I do not need closing, selling, or communication skills. I am not a salesman. Yes, you are right, you are not a salesman, but deep down, we're all promoting either ourselves or our ideas. If you have a PhD in aerospace, well, you need to take all this knowledge and all those ideas and bring them to the world. And that is where your high income skills are useful. If you're an engineer in Boeing, for example, you need to convince other people to take your design or engineering ideas. You need to convince your boss to give you a raise or give you a promotion or put you on a better project. If you fail at promoting yourself or your ideas, you are condemned to be broke. Hence, the importance of learning. And also, we live in an age where everything changes very rapidly. What you learned today in college may be completely obsolete in a couple of decades. Imagine the people who studied computer science 20 years ago and they didn't learn anything new. They didn't learn the new coding languages and all of this. They're completely useless now and they're probably broke. If you want to never be broke again, you have to apply the concept created by Tony Robbins, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. Try to improve yourself, to grow, to learn something new every single day, even if it's something small, but do it every single day. Think about nature. Think about plants, for example. What happens when they stop growing? That's it. They die. And the same applies to you. When you stop growing, when you stop learning, you die internally. And as a consequence, you become broke. And that were the 7 reasons why you're broke and the 7 solutions. I hope you liked this video and learned something from it. If that is the case, a little thumbs up is always appreciated. You can follow my content in Instagram and in my website, oakwealthbuilder.com. And if there is a topic you want me to cover in a future video, you can shoot me an email to the address that is in the description below. I will see you very soon for our next episode. In the meantime, take care.